With the success of Rammus jungle at Worlds as shown by Shook, Rammus has proven to be not only a pocket pick on the competitive level, but an incredibly powerful solo queue pick despite being fairly absent as a pick throughout the LCS season. So why has Rammus shown to be a competitive pick, and what has made him rise up? This is Pocket Picks. Now, Rammus has shown to be a prime example of what is called a stealth buff. A stealth buff is an indirect buff that is given to a champion that happens due to changes on other champions. And in Rammus, this mostly happened in patch 4.13, where the at the time jungler trifecta of Lee Sin, Elise, and Evelynn all received some pretty significant nerfs, putting them in line, or at least a little bit more in line with other junglers, allowing some other champions to rise up, such as Kha'Zix, Jarvan, and now we see Rammus. With this meta shift, the necessity for a jungler to be strong early and strong 1 versus 1 has faded by quite a reasonable amount. But when it comes to Rammus, he might not be the most dynamic jungler of them all, but he is amazing at what he is good at, much better than any jungler in the game, and that is at ganking. Rammus ganks are not only absurdly powerful, they are mechanically easy to pull off, making Rammus fairly easy to play, especially since his kit does not involve any skill shots, unlike a lot of the more popular junglers right now. Now, on the competitive level, strong ganks are not always useful unless you pick some really strong high damage solo laners and build your entire team composition around it, as often teams will control vision quite well, and so ganks can be hard to pull off without laners who can pressure lanes by themselves. And so on the competitive level, he would be considered a pocket pick now, rising up due to the aforementioned changes and of course powerful in the aforementioned comp. However, in solo queue, ganking is not only easy to pull off, but can easily snowball entire games. And because of this, Rammus has shown to be an absolutely absurd pick in solo queue with a win rate of almost 60% and is by far the strongest solo queue jungler right now. And so, Rammus succeeds in a composition where you want to have strong lanes. And in solo queue, more than half of the games are decided by the laning phase anyways, so Rammus is going to let you play a huge role in that. In addition, even with Rammus's dominant early ganking presence, he actually scales quite well into the late game. Although he does have counter items such as Mikhail's and QSS, those are not always going to be bought, especially in solo queue, and either way he can just become a massive tank to peel and zone for your team. When it gets to late game as Rammus, you don't have to kill anyone, just survive longer than your opponent's tanks, and Rammus's kit is amazing at doing that, especially if you have a strong laning phase. Once Rammus gets 3 items, he becomes one of the tankiest champions in the game, and almost unkillable, which will allow you to perform your job of being a raid boss quite easily, while also providing the much needed initiation that many tanky champions somewhat lack. And even though the duration of his taunt was nerfed a while back, it's actually not that significant, as 2¼ seconds is almost always going to be enough time anyways, since the taunt is more about giving your team time to follow up, rather than actually trying to 1v1 an opponent. Not to mention that the cooldowns on his crowd control abilities are low enough to where you can use them 2, 3, or even 4 times in a fight, while also being great at ending fights, since he can chase or escape with his power ball. Not to mention that you can actually output the damage to kill carries if you pick up a couple of kills too. And so we've seen Rammus rise up as a pocket pick, at least in competitive play. He works best with a comp with high damage solo laners who can snowball the entire game off of a good lane, which you must build a comp around on the competitive level. But in solo queue, everyone tries to have a strong lane, no matter what champions they pick, and so the laning phase has a much bigger impact, since ganks are much easier to pull off. This, in combo with Rammus's reliable, easy to use kit, makes him quite the formidable pick and arguably the best jungler in solo queue right now. My name is Jeremy, and that's it for this episode of Pocket Picks. Let me know what other champions you think are pocket picks as well in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to check out some of my others on the screen right now, or stay connected at facebook.com/gamingcurios. Drop a like, share this video, and make sure to subscribe for some more awesome content in the future. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.